I would like to thank KJ Scoops and Anthony Zender for providing information to me via Facebook Messenger about their SSP experiences concerning that Earth Alliance mission op, where a top-ranking politician was briefed about aliens, UFOs, and the various secret space program groups, and also about the underground secret bases on Earth. So KJ was actually a pilot protecting cargo. She was also on the Earth Alliance ship. And Anthony Zender was providing ground security for protecting the politician on the ground when the politician was boarding the Earth Alliance ship. So they had contacted me a while back, and we had discussed this via Messenger. And I also had a discussion with KJ through Skype video about her experiences. She was the one that provided the Paducah, Kentucky Army base location where the politician boarded the Earth Alliance ship. That's a possible location that we were discussing where this happened. So, and I provided their information in the brief synopsis of the Earth Alliance mission op that happened in February, as I remember it being February, from my memories of being the communications co-pilot. So some of the information that's in this descriptive presentation comes from KJ Scoops and Anthony Zender. So I'm just mentioning their names right now and thanking them because in the actual description of the presentation, I didn't mention names. So I just wanted to give them credit for their descriptions of what they remember from the Earth Alliance mission op. So that's very important information, and I thank them and cite them as credit sources for some of the information in this presentation. So thank you guys. So just before I begin the presentation, I'd like to discuss how Anthony Zender looked like in his Earth Alliance security guard mission op. So he was wearing a light armor gray-black suit to protect him from bullets hitting his body. So basically he had a bit of a beard and close cropped hair. So that's what Anthony Zender's looks like in the Earth Alliance mission op to protect a famous high-ranking politician. And the politician involved, what Anthony remembers from the op was Donald Trump. He remembers from the op it being Donald Trump, and that's what he told me during our discussion in FB Messenger. This is what Anthony Zender's looks like in person. He is an MMA fighter, and a wrestler. So Anthony is quite strong, and he was also in the military. He served. So, and if you look at his jaw profile, it looks very close to what it looks like in the previous image of him in the Earth Alliance op as providing ground security for President Trump. So the profile, you can see the beard, and you can see the close cropping of the hair, of Anthony's hair. So the profile looks similar to the previous image right here. You can see the square jaw in the beard and the closely cropped hair. And you can see that here as well in this image. So the square jaw with the beard, slight beard, and the closely cropped hair. It looks very much like Anthony. As well as the fighter's physique also looks very similar to Anthony's in the previous image. So that's the closest image I could find of what Anthony looks like and what he looked like in the op, in the actual Earth Alliance mission op. So that's very similar. And I've had other comments from people that Anthony does look very similar to what the previous image of him looks like in the light armor suit. And Anthony was carrying an FN 4000 rifle. Is as close as what I could find of what his weapon looked like for the security team protection detail. That's the weapon that was used, similar weapon. And as well, this is what KJ Scoops was wearing as her pilot uniform, a closely fitted gray uniform. And that's what I was wearing as well for my co-pilot's communications officer asset uniform. And it was gray, tightly fitted uniform with boots. This is what the Earth Alliance carrier ship looks like that President Donald Trump boarded. And it went into Earth orbit from the Paducah, Kentucky Army base. That's where Trump and his contingent boarded the Earth Alliance carrier ship, and it went from ground to Earth orbit with a protection team. This is what the protection team escort looks like, the craft, the Sharp Dart craft. That's what it looked like. It was gray, different shades of gray, and it followed the Earth Alliance carrier ship as a protection detail of Air Force jets, except these jets are modified with anti-gravity propulsion, and they look very different from the Air Force jets that are used on the ground right now by the Army. So these are modified airspace jets. They look like darts, basically, like dart craft, because they're very different from normal jets, propulsion jets. These have anti-grav engines. And this is another model type of the jets that followed the Earth Alliance carrier ship. So there were two types of jets. This was the second type of airspace jet with anti-grav propulsion systems that followed Earth Alliance carrier ship where Trump was, and where KJ was, KJ Scoops, where Anthony Zender, he was the ground crew, so he didn't board the Earth Alliance carrier ship, but I suspect he boarded one of the space air jets as the security detail that went in Earth orbit that escorted the Earth Alliance carrier ship. They had that security detail of the space air jets accompanying the Earth Alliance carrier ship into space orbit of the Earth as protection detail. So, and I was there as the communications officer, the co-pilot asset. I was on the Earth Alliance carrier ship in the cockpit monitoring various outgoing and incoming communications to make sure everything was scrambled and that nobody brought on any listening devices, so none of this information would be leaked to the public. So this was closely guarded, this mission op and the briefing of President Donald Trump, as remembered by Anthony Zenders, KJ Scoops, and me, Lena. This was one of our SSP experiences that we had concerning the Earth Alliance mission op that happened in February of 2017. So I'm showing you these images as just references of what I remember from the ops and what Anthony described in KJ Scoops. These are only reference images. They're not the actual images of they're just representations of what these things look like in our mission op, what the uniforms look like that we wore as pilots and co-pilot, what Anthony Zender's light armor protection suit looked like to deflect bullets, as well what the Earth Alliance carrier ship looked like, and what the various models of the Space Airjet craft looked like. There were 2 models that accompanied the Earth Alliance carrier ship. There was about 4 to 6 of these Space Airjets that followed the carrier ship. So I just wanted to show these examples before I go into the details of the presentation. Hi, it's Alina here. So today I want to discuss an interesting question that was asked of me by a secret space program experiencer who remembers being on an Earth Alliance mission op to brief a very famous top-ranking politician about aliens, UFOs, the military-industrial complex MIC lower SSP programs on Earth, and also the secret space programs, the upper echelons of these programs, on moon operations, on Mars operations, also the various underground secret bases that are classified that are on Earth. So this SSP experiencer asked me the following question in one of our discussions. Can you describe the structural working dynamics of the Earth Alliance and Earth Defense Force? What do you know about them? So this is what I replied to the SSP experiencer. I know that the Earth Alliance always does the briefings for new incoming presidents. They are the ones that tell NASA, media, etc. what can be disclosed to the public about aliens, SSP, etc. The Earth Alliance handles the operations for the secret underground bases in remote mountain areas and coordination of which assets will be loaned to the SSP secret space programs off-world, and if any joint missions will be coordinated with Earth Defense Force. Earth Defense Force does planetary protection, specifically for the Earth. They have various remote viewing programs set up in secret bases, some underground, some on the surface of the planet, and they do various exchange programs of acclimating young assets to humanoid-looking ETs before they will get off-world training in the more echelon groups of the secret space programs, like on Mars bases or the Moon, just as examples, or they'll be working in underground bases on Earth or on some space station platform, orbiting space station platform around Earth or Mars. And these space platforms, they're cloaked. They're basically space stations that are cloaked. Some of them have affiliation with the lower MIC military industrial complex SSP programs. Some of them have affiliations with the higher upper echelons of the secret space programs, like Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, which has its own Mars space station orbital platforms, which are also cloaked. So there's various affiliations of where assets will be stationed and what kind of work they'll be doing, depending on their ability, depending on their knowledge of technology, operations, psychic abilities. That's a strong factor that makes a decision where assets will be stationed. Of their willingness and endurance, physically how strong they are, what they could take in terms of being in harsh environments. That's another thing. They're trained to withstand being in harsh environments, amount of knowledge they can take in. So this is all very important, how smart you are, what your capabilities are, also your emotional state, what you can take. So those are some of the things that are looked at when assets are assigned to various locations, and they're moved around quite a bit during assignments. So that's also normal procedure. So I'll be talking about two various operations that happened missions that are related to secret space programs and lower MIC branches of the programs as well. So the first op was Earth Alliance Mission Op, which happened February 2017, to brief a top-ranking political individual about the existence of aliens, UFOs, military-industrial complex, MIC, lower SSP branches, and the secret space programs, out in space, operations on the moon and Mars, etc., as well as Earth operations in the secret underground bases. And the question was by the SSP experiencer, did the top-ranking political individual board on Earth Alliance ship in Paducah, the actual name is Paducah, Kentucky base, as remembered by another SSP experiencer who was also on that mission. So far, there was a communications co-pilot who was monitoring all incoming communications during the op to make sure no information was leaked from the Earth Alliance ship out near Earth orbit. A security guard who provided protection for the top-ranking politician on the ground when the politician was boarding the Earth Alliance ship out near Paducah. Again, actual name is Paducah, Kentucky Army Base, and a pilot who was also on the ship protecting cargo of SSP experiencers who also remember this mission. So the pilot who was protecting the cargo on the Earth Alliance craft, where the politician boarded somewhere near Paducah Army, Kentucky base, that pilot was protecting cargo that was also on the ship. So this pilot was the one that asked me this question. They're an SSP experiencer. Because they remembered me being there. They remembered the security guard being there. So they asked me this question because they're studying the memories that they remember from this op. So they were in contact with me about this information. And this is the answer that I gave them. Basically, the first thing that I talked about. And I'm just providing a bit of a further context to this mission, just the mission outline. And there was also an Earth Defense Force mission op that happened in May 2017, where there was an asset that was taken by a TR-3B craft somewhere near the California mountains, deep in the woods, where there was a cabin, and underneath the cabin there was an underground base. There was a remote viewing program on the base premises. The asset was given various maps of the United States and told to find classified bases where alien technology was located, and also to identify other underground bases with remote viewing programs, just like the one in the California underground base. After this was done, the asset was returned home via the TR-3B craft. The asset felt the high altitude velocity of being high in the air somewhere above mountain peaks in California as the craft was returning them back home in BC, Canada. So this is what I know about the Earth Alliance and the Earth Defense Force. Now, the Earth Defense Force has not been often mentioned in conjunction with the secret space programs. So it hasn't been mentioned often, and this is a recent memory of Earth Defense Force. There's also Mars Defense Force, which takes care of Mars operations, of protecting Mars, and the Earth Defense Force takes care of protection operations for Earth and anything to do with the Earth, concerning Earth dealings with aliens, UFOs, space, all that stuff. And it does some joint op missions with the Earth Alliance at times. So that is what I know about the Earth Alliance and the Earth Defense Force. And the Earth Alliance provides a lot of protection for politicians that have been briefed on aliens, UFOs, military industrial complex, MIC, lower SSP, branches, secret space programs, what's going on out in space concerning operations dealing with the moon, Mars, etc. Like I said before, Earth Alliance also provides security for top-ranking whistleblowers who are disclosing the secret space programs. That's covert operatives are provided for whistleblower protection. They do that as well, the Earth Alliance. So this is what I know and the information I've shared. I'll also include a more detailed video that I had done about the Earth Alliance mission op where the top-ranking politician was briefed when they came into office about aliens, UFOs, military-industrial complex, and the higher echelons of the secret space program. So this will be included after this presentation. Hi, it's Alina. I would like to share an interesting SSP op experience of memory recall that I started having recently. This happened in beginning of February 2017, the SSP op itself. And so I've been basically going through my various memories of this op and jotting down notes of what happened. And also, when the op was going on, I could remember what everyone and everything looked like. So again, I'll have images accompanying my narration of this experience. So in the beginning of February 2017, I was placed in a secret space program op where a high-ranking government U.S. official was boarding an Earth Alliance carrier ship. This was a meeting session to brief the government official about off-world Earth Alliance assets in space, various assets they have on Earth, the types of military, special projects bases, space stations, and ships that are located above Earth orbit, as well as on planets or moons such as Mars, for example. There was a discussion about maintaining the secrecy about extraterrestrial existence on Earth and off-planet. Details were provided for the government official on how the secret space program groups operate and protocols on how disclosure or non-disclosure is handled in media circles, alternative media, and in public events by government or other corporations involved in top secret projects regarding these matters. So basically, the government official was told this is how things are done in media circles, alternative media, public events, etc., in terms of disclosure or non-disclosure parameters. And the Earth Alliance is involved in this very much so in these briefing sessions and protocols. The Earth Alliance carrier ship descended above Earth orbit in order to have full security measures. There were about 4 to 8 modified new fighter aircraft with 2 large and also 2 smaller anti-gravity engines on the aircraft, which accompanied the Earth Alliance carrier ship as security escorts until the carrier ship left the Earth's atmosphere. While the government official had been boarding the Earth Alliance carrier ship on a mobile stair platform, there were a team of security guards wearing gray-black light armor protective suits and carrying FN 4000 rifles, which are not officially on the market yet. These types of assault rifles are usually used by special ops military teams when on security detail or on recon missions. I actually have an FN 2000 assault rifle. It's semi-automatic because I'm not military, and non-military civilians can't have full assault rifles, so it's semi-automatic. So I have an FN bullpup, actually. So I'm familiar with this type of weapon. I have one. And it's interesting. I've never fired it, but I like to collect them. And I have fired firearms before. I've fired guns and I've fired semi-automatic rifles and also just normal rifles. I don't like to do it anymore, but I like to collect them. I still like to fire handguns sometimes just for the practice of it. And this was actually part of my SSP training, how to handle firearms. Like, mostly for me, it was plasma weapons and laser weapons. There's also rail guns. I wasn't a fan of the rail guns. I liked the quieter weapons, like plasma ones and lasers. And I like to have the small firearms, which are easily carried. They're strapped on to your uniform, so they're sidearms. I prefer the smaller sidearms to the larger, heavier weaponry. Again, for me, railguns felt heavy, so I never used to like those. That's just a side comment I have to this. When I was inside the Earth Alliance carrier ship, I remember doing logistics, like monitoring the ship's communications to make sure the carrier ship was not bugged with listening devices so no one could spy on the briefing and that there were no data leaks. I was encrypting all incoming and outgoing messages, checking for listening devices on the ship, scanning everyone who was boarding and leaving the Earth Alliance ship to make sure they did not have any listening devices or implants on them to spy on the Earth Alliance briefing session. This included all types of weapons as well. They were scanned for weaponry to make sure they didn't have any weapons on them. Because the weapons can be very small. Like, it could be a little button even that emits a laser beam. Something small and square. A little square device or a button, and it's lethal. It could literally kill somebody in an instant. And I know this sounds very sci-fi, but small technology exists. It's like literally a button. You press it, and it emits a small laser from the whatever button device it is, or whatever square little remote device that somebody could conceal on their uniform or on their suit. So I was scanning for that as well to make sure they didn't have anything like that on them. And these things are very discreet in terms of listening devices, implants, and small weapons. So that has to be scanned always to make sure they don't have anything on them when they board ships or when they board aircraft, fighter aircraft and such. There's tight security measures for this stuff. While on the Earth Alliance carrier ship, I did not have the use of any data smart glass pads, as these could be potentially used as a form of a hacking mechanism to create a security leak. I could only use the encrypted consoles on the ship to monitor incoming and outgoing communications by the ship pilots, crew, and making sure the blocking jammer devices were working properly so the briefing session conversations cannot be overheard or recorded. I had been given a scanner wand before boarding the Earth Alliance carrier ship in order to scan everyone who was boarding the ship to check for listening devices, implants, and any types of small weaponry that could be carried on the person. Before everyone left the briefing session after it was over, they had been scanned again with the wand device to ascertain that there were no listening devices or implants that could have recorded what was being said or shown during the Earth Alliance briefing session. As well, they were scanned for weaponry. The thing that they're concerned about with security is that there are devices which can be teleported even on the ship during a briefing session. There is teleportation technology, and this can be done, so everyone is scanned multiple times when they board a ship and when they leave a ship, because they don't want anybody leaving with stuff they shouldn't be leaving with or bringing stuff on the ships that they shouldn't bring. There are various levels of security protocols before, during, and after briefing sessions to ensure the sensitive or secret data does not get into the wrong hands, or that there's no weapons of any type brought on the ship or leaving with the ship. That's very important, and these layers of security protocols are followed every time during these various ops, Earth Alliance ops, SSP ops. They're all very careful with security protocols, because again, they don't want any type of AI during these briefing sessions. No type of implants, recording devices, or weaponry allowed for government officials or any type of Earth Alliance personnel who board the ships. Security teams and some of the pilot crew do wear weaponry as needed, because they're security again, and they're there for protection details, so they have sidearms. When being on this SSP op, I remember I had been wearing a gray tight-fitted flight uniform with pants. I had short brown hair that was straight. I usually have blonde hair, but it's dyed, it's colored. My natural hair color is brown, so that's interesting. There was another woman there on the carrier ship who had black hair cut short, and it was straight. She looked to be of partial Asian descent. She was a flight operations asset to the Earth Alliance carrier ship. The woman was wearing a military uniform that was black with some white detailing, and so it was a uniform top and pants. They also have uniforms where there's a top, a mid-thigh-high skirt with leggings and boots. So there are different options. And the uniforms they prefer is grayish or white with gray. Some of the assets do wear uniforms which are purely black or have gray or white detail. It's rare to see fully black uniforms, but there are options for uniforms, which is very important to me, I think. And the uniform is very comfortable because it fits to your body type. There's no stereotyping in these programs. The uniforms are designed for specific body types, and it's made to be comfortable when you wear it, because when you're on these ops, you need to feel comfortable and you need to be able to move fast when you wear the uniforms. So it's designed for all kinds of body shapes and sizes and heights for assets and operatives. As well, there were 5 men dressed in black suits to brief the high-ranking government official. The suits were military, but not what the Army or Navy would wear. Those suits were designed differently, somehow, and made of possibly nanofiber material, because they did look like, again, light armor suits. From what I noticed, they weren't like our normal uniforms that I or the woman were wearing, so it was different. These 5 men were Earth Alliance liaison assets whose job it is to do briefing sessions with various government officials from different Earth world nations. So I thought I would share this experience of the SSP op that I had in early February of 2017. So I'll be attaching images of what the craft looked like, what the fighter jet aircraft looked like as well, what the personnel looked like, what I looked like as well. I remember having memories of other SSP personnel who were in the secret space programs, who I actually had interviews with. So you'll see some images of them. I will not be mentioning names. I usually don't, because I don't want to get anybody in trouble by mentioning names, so I don't do that, because these people have memories of SSP experiences and being assets. So that's why I don't mention names. I don't want to expose anybody. That's not what I'm doing, and that's not why I'm sharing my stories of my SSP memory recall experiences. I can mention myself because I've talked about it before, and I have no issues talking about my memory recall of what I've participated in or what has happened to me. I believe it's actually good to talk about these things because, these things don't seem like dreams to me. They don't seem like sci fi, fantasy, creative imagination. Not at all. I could mostly fully recall what happens to me on these ops and the type of weapons that were used, the type of ships. I can even find imagery of this on the internet using very specific keyword searches and phrases because I deal with information. I worked in public services in a research I don't want to say what exactly it was, but it's a research facility, so in public services. So I know how to put information together and collate it, and that's what I did in data information centers in the ICC as well, on Mars bases and other places. So I'm quite familiar with how to do keyword search phrases and put and collate information together to figure things out. And that's a specialty that's very valuable to me in this current lifetime I'm having, and examining all of my SSP memory recall experiences, because that's what I used to do there as well. So that all kind of comes together to help me remember what's happened to me and what's still going on. And I'm sometimes taken on these ops, so it's still happening to me, not on a regular basis, but from time to time it does happen. So I just wanted to share that, and it's my experience. I'm not claiming to be a whistleblower or an insider. I'm just sharing my experiences of being an SSP asset. Mainly ICC, but I've had other experiences as well. So it's quite interesting. So thank you and namaste.